Peace and welcome to Earth Crowns. Today I'm going to do an instructional tutorial. So I'm gonna do head wrapping today, and I kind of wanted to start. I always start with something, and I wanted to start with this Rachel Dolezal situation. She's been trying to pass off as a black woman for like years now, and it's crazy that this situation comes to light now. What I will say is that she's not trying to pass off as a black person. She's trying to pass off as a type of black person, because when we talk about black people, when we talk about the black diaspora, we are talking about a much wider group of people. We are talking about Native Americans, who we call Native Americans. We're talking about Asians. We are talking about so-called Latino. And we're talking about all these other group of people too. We're talking about so-called Middle Eastern people, some Arabic people. So even if people that are a part of those ethnic groups don't necessarily see themselves as black, the reality is that they are black. And that's another dimension to this to this issue on blackness too, that I definitely can discuss in another video. But she tried basically being an African American. That's what she tried to pass off as being. And this leads into wider conversations that I've been having with so many different people as of late, and this totally relates to appropriation. It relates to gentrification, and this is something that is not new. There's in my blog, there's this piece that I wrote a while back ago, and it's on the what mainstream calls dressing modest in modestly. Yes. That's my daughter. So it's what we call in my culture dressing in 3/4. Why? Because the planet Earth is covered in 3/4 of water. And so we use that metaphor again of the earth to and apply it to the original woman. These issues are coming about, and in the blog I read about how when you look at colonial times, when you look at when Europeans are first making contact with our people in Africa, in Asia, and later in Latin America, you start to see an adaptation in their dressing styles to kind of mimic not only the body of the original woman, right, but also the elaborate hairstyles of the original woman. So they have to come up with, then you have to come up with wigs. Not saying that in Africa, in ancient Africa, you didn't have wigs, because you did, but they were used for totally different purposes than what we see in European society, prior to. So, and also, there's always been a need for Europeans to come amongst original people. They need that. This is what happened. This is why the Moors came into Europe with their mathematical and scientific knowledge. And what did Europe get afterwards? They got a renaissance, because you have this influx of original people, innovators. What else do you get? You get more libraries in Europe. What else do you get? You get hygienic practices. You get water closets that were never seen before, and this diminished the amount of plagues that were happening, that people were dying from, because something as simple as hygiene people were not aware of. They didn't have the solutions to these problems. And so with that, it's when you look at history, it's really going in a circular motion. Its patterns are repeating themselves, and this is what you find now. You see it, right? There's a lot of appropriation, and the deeper issue is that, is there a true, authentic European culture? Is there a true, authentic European way? Because when you see it, you just see phenomenons of just things that are based upon original culture. And so this is really, the Rachel Dolezal case really mirrors this issue. Obviously her parents were adopting African American children, and she felt there, she felt attracted to that, and she wanted to explore that, as bad as it sounds. And this has been happening forever. She's not the only person to have ever done this. Obviously in modern times, she's the first one for it to be kind of like this scandal. But with that said, gentrification, they're coming back into it. They need the magnetic from the original people. And it's very interesting because it's always been this way. Some of the greatest inventors have been African American inventors, that, unfortunately, the patents were not giving credit to them. The patents were taken either by the slave master, or after slavery, it was taken and somebody else owned it, a white person owned it. And, the same thing happens. You make something and it's not legitimate, right? Until it is recognized by white society. So, you can make a head wrapping style, and I'm just using this example because, right, it's what we deal with. You can make a head wrapping style, and it's something that can be taken, and it becomes legitimized, and ownership becomes a big issue, because then the ownership transfers to the person that exposes it to their white society, to their society. I have a lot of respect for Ina May Gaskin, but Ina May Gaskin gets credit for coming up with this technique on how to deliver breech babies. She's an amazing lay midwife. She does great things. I'm pretty sure that her heart is well intended towards black women, towards so-called Latina women. But this is actually something that she learned from Mexican midwives. And the credit is not given to it. It's been written, but when other people write about it, they're like, oh, she made it up, and that's problematic in itself. So, these, the Rachel Dolezal, again, it's issues of appropriation, issues of culture, issues of encounters, issues of history. You see it repeated throughout time. And so, it's not new, and the original people will continue always to set the standard to society, set that backbone for it not to crumble. And so, with that, I want to go ahead and start with my head wrap. It's a very, very interesting crown that I made up the other day, and it just uses 2 scarves. And now the color, obviously, that I'm highlighting today is going to be green. So I'm using this green rectangular scarf, and I'm using this flower scarf, and this is going to be the star of the crown. And I've used this one before, but I'll be using it obviously differently. And sometimes, when you use scarves differently, in a whole different, you don't recognize that you've used them in the past, because you're using them in a totally new way. So I'm going to bring this up, right? I folded it 2/3 of the way, not 2/3, like 1/3 really, or maybe it is 2/3. You try it out for yourself. I'm just trying to give out precise numbers here. And let me look. I'm going to bring the 2 tails to the front to make sure that they are equal length, that they're matching. And then I'm going to tie it, okay, in the back. Okay, so I'm tying it, right? And if it's a little clumpy in the back, in the front, you just spread it out, move it out a little bit, okay? So right now I'm only gonna use this tail. I'm gonna bring it up, and then I'm gonna keep this right tail, okay? It's my right, but is your left. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this up, spread it out as best as possible. And you don't really have to worry about this green scarf too much, because it's your interior scarf. therefore people are not really going to see it. They're only going to see it come out here through the front and the top. Okay, so you know, this is just helping with extra volume on the top here. Okay, so I'm keeping this tail, and now I am bringing the other scarf. Here it goes. And again, you know, about 1/3 of the way I'm folding it in, and I'm bringing it here. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is, sorry, I usually like flap it, or I don't know, wing it as I bring it around. I bring it around. And so I'm going to, this is going to be tied diagonally, right? Again, talking about mathematics, right? And I'm going to look at the ends, okay? My left side, which is your right side, is slightly longer than my right side, but when I tie it, this side is going to end up here. And I need it to be just slightly longer because of the effect that I wanted to have. Okay, now I'm gonna tie it. I'm gonna tie this one too, like I did with the green, right? And so see, it's longer. Now if it's a bit clumpy, the green here, you can move it back and you can deal with that later. Okay, right now you got this going, and then this, you bring it up. It might slide off. See what's happening here? So what I'm gonna do is I am going to just fold it in like this, and going to then tie this here in the back. I'm gonna scoop it in there. Okay, and if you notice, right, it's gonna have this effect, and it's okay if this is still here because then this will cover it. All right, now I'm just gonna try to get these scarves a bit neat in terms of just bringing it up. Okay, I'm bringing it up diagonally too from the back. Sorry. Okay, and I'm putting it here, and I'm bringing this one up too. Okay, and so this is where I'm going to twist this one into, right, into the scarf like that. Okay, and I'm going to bring this. It doesn't matter that all this fluffiness is here in the front, right? I'm going to just enter it here, okay? Because then this big thing here that I'm doing is going to cover it, okay? And I'm just trying to get, like, you know, a spongy effect going on here in the front, okay? And I'm trying to... And the green helps in the back. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to find a spot in the back that I can enter it, and I'm entering it there. Okay? And now I'm going to mess with this. I want to bring more of this green. Okay? And I'm going to mess around more with this sponge. And move the green a little bit more, right? Mess around more with this sponge. I'm calling it a sponge, but who knows? Whatever you want to call it, okay? When you do it. Okay. And, I mean, yeah, it looks pretty much done, okay? I could put it if I want to more in, okay? But I kind of want some of this green to show. I could move it, you know what, I'm just going to move it back a little bit more, okay, and that helps bring it and have that sponging effect. And so there you have it. I should get my mirror, right, so I can see how this is turning out. So I'm going to get my mirror, and that's my daughter. She wants to talk. Alright, and here's the mirror. I'm going to just look and see. Okay, and I'm gonna look at the other side too. Okay, and it looks pretty good, you know. All right, and now I'm going to finish this off with these earrings that I got from the Puerto Rican artist. Her name is Tania Torres. She's amazing. She doesn't only do jewelry art, she does all kinds of art, and one of her main focuses is on Mary Magdalene, and you know, just the recreation of that woman, and she's great. I really like her stuff. And this is earth medallion that I got from her. So I want to put this with the wrap because it goes with it. And what I usually do is I just kind of tie it here at the front so I could like highlight it. I'm gonna move this so you can see it a little bit. Okay, and so yeah, so there you have it. Okay, you can continue to play around with this, but this is this is the green garden. Oh no, the garden, not the green garden, the garden crown that I put on my earth crowns page. Okay, and just continue messing with it. And I'm gonna turn around one last time so that you can see how it turned out entirely. Okay. All right, I'm still messing with it. I kept messing around with it, right? And one of the things that I did is I kind of alternated. If you notice, this was here before, so I kind of just took out a little bit more of the green because I kind of want this green, I want the green to showcase on the same side, right? And if you look at the original picture, it's also that way. All right, so it's basically the same thing. And right, I'm using the green is gonna end up under the main scarf, right? Because it's going to help with the cushiony aspect of it. And I'm just gonna tuck it in right here on the side, really, if you notice. Okay, and of course you don't have to worry about the fluffy thing here. It's gonna be covered, right? I'm gonna look at the side right here, right there it goes. And with this fluffy thing, right, it's gonna create this spongy feel to it, right? And what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna end up just tucking in this little tail here in the back, here on the side. Okay, and this is just going to get okay. I mean I basically just keep messing around with it until I get the effect that I want. And I'm just gonna hide this here. Okay, and you know, there it goes. This is actually what I wanted to create because I wanted to come into the front of my face like this, okay, and do this diagonal thing. I mean, this is just a matter of just continuing to play around with it to get that. Okay, so there we go. There you have it. And thank you again for joining me today. Peace.